kind of wish Disney had just let it go. All awful puns aside, Frozen 2 was very, very different and not at all what I was expecting. So it's directed by Chris Buck and Jennifer Lee, who directed the first Frozen film. I, like many people, thought Frozen was incredible, mind-blowing, really quite innovative for Disney with a lot of the visuals. And I was quite happy to see Frozen 2. I wasn't really excited about it. I watched a couple of people's reviews and thought I'm still not really like overjoyed for this, but I'm going to settle my curiosity by watching it, and I did. And it's difficult because on the one hand it's beautiful, on the other hand it's a rubbish sequel. So we have quite a contained number of characters here. Anna, Elsa, Kristoff, Olaf and Sven go off in search of an enchanted forest because Elsa's powers feel a calling. And we get a lot of backstory here, and there are certain elements with their parents and their ancestry which I found very interesting. And this little quest was great. You know, the first film established the characters. Here we get to have a deeper look into their backstory. So in that respects, the narrative was a good choice for a sequel. Where I don't like it, or where I feel like it isn't a good sequel, is that it's much darker. And yes, a lot of sequels are darker, but this one, there was no really light relief. And I feel like if a young child loves Frozen and then they're going to go and watch Frozen 2, the experience is completely different. It's not as happy, it's not as bright and colourful. Anna's not wearing any bright clothing in this one. Elsa's outfit is not the bright blue as it was from the first film. So it's very different, and I think that if children are expecting one thing, i.e. Frozen, they get Frozen 2, which to me feels more like just a modern day version of Black Cauldron in terms of the atmosphere and the mood that it delivers. It does it very well, but as a sequel, I don't think it was the right decision. So I was expecting more of the bright frosty white that we get in the first film, but you know, once I remove myself from the first film and kind of analyse it as an independent narrative, it was good, it was fine, I enjoyed it for the most part. Characters, in this one, I actually really liked Kristoff. He kind of bugged me in the first film, but I think the way they handled his character here was really good. Elsa was kind of mute, she was very bland, not much going on there, but it wasn't, like, it's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing, it's just a thing. Anna bugged me completely. I was going to swear there, but I shan't. She was annoying, obnoxious, insane, stupid, just, I wanted to slap her on several occasions. But thankfully that was not so severe that it kind of hindered my enjoyment, or moderate enjoyment of the rest of the film. Sven was great. Olaf kind of had a backseat here, but he did need to be in it, and he did have a few kind of adorable little moments. The one thing I needed from this was a good soundtrack. What do I say? I'd say it's fairly unmemorable. Certainly compared to the first Frozen soundtrack, where I'm singing. After the first time I watched Frozen, I was singing those songs constantly. I was on YouTube listening to them. With Frozen 2, there's only one song in it that I have listened to again. And admittedly, I've listened to it quite a lot, and that's Into the Unknown, which is kind of the darker version of Let It Go. It's Elsa's main solo, and it's probably the most powerful song I feel from the film. Into the Unknown was great, but it's so good that it kind of makes up for the lack of decency in the other songs. There were a couple that I thought were a bit meh, but for the most part, pretty unmemorable. So would I recommend Frozen 2? Yeah, sure, give it a go. I don't think you'd regret the time spent watching it. Certainly I don't. I'm pleased I've seen it, and it gave me Into the Unknown, which I'm very happy with. But just don't expect it to be anything like the first one. On its own, a good film. As a sequel, bit of a letdown.